Hey everyone, today we're counting down the top 15 JRPGs on Nintendo Switch. These are the absolute best the console has to offer. From classic remakes to modern masterpieces, let's dive in.
Unicorn Overlord. You're leading a liberation army across a massive fantasy continent, building your forces one unit at a time. The combat system is where things get interesting. You position squads of up to 5 characters on a grid-based map, but when battles start, they auto-resolve based on the tactics you've set beforehand. It sounds simple, but there's incredible depth in how you build your units, assign skills, and create synergies between characters. The story follows Prince Elaine as he fights to reclaim his kingdom from a tyrannical empire, recruiting dozens of unique characters along the way. Between battles, you're managing resources, upgrading equipment, and making dialogue choices that affect character relationships. The hand-drawn art style is stunning, with every character and environment bursting with detail. If you love games like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics, but want something that respects your time with streamlined battles, this is your game.
Brace yourself!
Does this suit you?
Witness the royal...
Dragon Quest III just got a massive glow-up with the HD 2D treatment, and it's the perfect entry point for newcomers while giving veterans a reason to replay this classic. You create your main hero and build a party of 4 from different classes like warrior, mage, priest, and more. Then set off on a globe-trotting adventure to defeat the demon lord Baramos. The turn-based combat is pure old-school goodness, straightforward but satisfying, with each class bringing unique abilities to the table. What makes this version special is how the HD 2D visuals breathe new life into the original game's charm, mixing pixel art characters with gorgeous 3D environments and dynamic lighting. The job system lets you experiment with different party compositions, and you can even change classes mid-game to create hybrid builds. The story hits those classic JRPG beats of exploring towns, solving local problems, and gradually uncovering a larger conspiracy. NieR Automata throws you into a post-apocalyptic Earth where androids fight proxy wars against machines for their absent human creators. You play primarily as 2B, a combat android who can switch between light and heavy attacks seamlessly, dodge with perfect timing to trigger slow-motion counters, and unleash devastating pod programs. The hack-and-slash combat feels incredible, mixing Platinum Games' signature action with RPG elements like weapon upgrades and chip customization. What sets this apart is how it constantly shifts perspectives and even genres. One moment, you're in a top-down shooter section, the next, you're in a side-scrolling platformer segment. The story explores heavy themes about consciousness, purpose, and what it means to be alive, told through multiple playthroughs that each reveal new information and perspectives. Your support pod can shoot projectiles, create shields, and execute special attacks that you customize through a plug-in chip system. Octopath Traveler 0 expands the series' signature HD 2D style into a grand adventure that blends classic turn-based combat with deeper strategic systems. Battles revolve around the familiar break and boost mechanics, where discovering enemy weaknesses lets you shatter defenses and unleash powerful chained attacks. The biggest twist is the expanded party structure, allowing 8 characters to participate through a dynamic frontline and backline system, encouraging tactical swaps and coordinated skills. Exploration across the world of Orstera is just as rewarding, with dozens of companions to recruit, each bringing unique abilities and small story moments that enrich the journey. A major new feature is town building, where you rebuild the ruined settlement of Wishvale by placing structures, attracting settlers, and unlocking useful upgrades that support your adventure.
Be strong!
Let's end this.
This is our chance!
Triangle Strategy is a tactical masterpiece where your choices genuinely matter, both in battle and in the branching narrative. Set in the war-torn continent of Norzelia, you play as Serenoa Wolfort, a noble caught between 3 powerful nations fighting over salt and iron resources. The grid-based tactical combat demands careful positioning. You need to consider elevation advantages, backstab opportunities, and elemental interactions. Characters can't be revived during battle, so every move counts, and you'll use the environment itself as a weapon, pushing enemies off cliffs or freezing water to create new paths.
What really sets this apart is the Scales of Conviction system, where you must convince your allies to vote on major story decisions through dialogue choices and gathering information. Your choices determine which characters join you, which story paths open up, and which of the multiple endings you'll reach.
これで傷を
助かった。
Monster Hunter Rise might not be a traditional JRPG, but it's got the progression systems, the boss fights, and the equipment grind that JRPG fans love. You're a hunter in Kamura Village, protecting the town from massive monsters called wyverns, and the gameplay loop is addictive. Hunt monsters, carve materials, craft better weapons and armor, hunt bigger monsters. The combat is all about learning monster patterns, exploiting weaknesses, and timing your attacks perfectly with one of 14 weapon types, from quick dual blades to massive greatswords. What makes Rise special is the wire bug system that adds vertical mobility, letting you zip around environments and pull off flashy aerial attacks. You've got a Palamute dog companion you can ride, and a Palico cat buddy who fights alongside you, making solo hunts more manageable. The game respects your time, with faster-paced hunts than previous entries, and the Rampage mode throws multiple monsters at you in a tower defense-style battle.
This is bad.
Fire Emblem Three Houses splits its time between tactical battles and a school life sim, and somehow both halves are equally engaging. You're a professor at the Officers Academy, choosing one of 3 houses to teach the Black Eagles, Blue Lions, or Golden Deer, and each choice leads to dramatically different story paths. Between monthly missions, you're teaching students, building relationships through support conversations, sharing meals, and exploring the monastery. The tactical combat is classic Fire Emblem permadeath, unless you turn it off. Weapon triangle advantages, and positioning-based strategy, where one wrong move can cost you a character permanently. What's brilliant is how your teaching directly impacts battle performance. Train a student in swords, and they'll be better at close combat. Focus on reason, and they'll become a powerful mage. The class system lets you reclass characters however you want, turning that fragile mage into an armored knight if you invest the time.
We must stop.
Pokémon Legends Arceus throws out decades of Pokémon traditions and reimagines what the series can be. Set in ancient Sinnoh before it was civilized, you're building the region's first Pokédex by actually sneaking up on wild Pokémon and catching them in real time without battle transitions. You can still battle, but now you directly control your character, dodge attacks, and aim Pokeballs yourself. The combat system introduces strong style and agile style moves that let you hit harder at the cost of speed or attack faster with less damage, adding a strategic layer to the turn order. Your goal is completing Pokédex tasks for each species. Catch 10 of them, see them use specific moves, catch an alpha version. And it's surprisingly addictive to tick off these objectives. The open zones are massive and filled with aggressive Pokémon that will actually attack you directly, making exploration feel genuinely dangerous. Trails in the Sky First Chapter is the beginning of one of JRPG's most ambitious, interconnected storylines, and it absolutely deserves your attention. You play as Estelle and Joshua, 2 young bracers, essentially licensed problem solvers and protectors, traveling across the Liberal Kingdom, taking on missions and slowly uncovering a conspiracy. The turn-based combat uses a grid system where positioning matters, and the Orb Mint system lets you slot elemental quartz into weapons to unlock magic spells and stat bonuses. What makes this special is the world building. Every NPC has unique dialogue that changes as the story progresses, making towns feel genuinely alive. The story takes its time, spending hours on character development and world building before the main plot kicks into high gear, but that slow burn makes the payoff incredible. The relationship between Estelle and Joshua is beautifully written, evolving naturally as you play.
Not done yet.
Not done yet!
Octopath Traveler 2 takes everything that worked about the first game and elevates it in every way.
Once again, you've got 8 protagonists with interconnected but separate stories. But this time, the narrative weaving is tighter and the character interactions feel more meaningful. The combat refines the boost and break system with new latent power abilities that charge during battle and let you unleash character-specific ultimate moves. The day and night cycle isn't just cosmetic. NPCs move around, new path actions become available, and the world genuinely changes between sun and moon. Each traveler's story explores mature themes with better pacing than the original, from a dancer seeking revenge to a merchant building a trading empire. The crossed paths system adds special chapters where 2 characters team up, giving interactions the first game lacked. Graphics are even more stunning, with improved lighting and environmental effects that make the HD 2D style shine.
What's our plan of attack?
Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is finally back, and this remake proves why it's considered one of Nintendo's best RPGs ever made. You're playing as Mario in a paper-thin world, searching for the 7 crystal stars, while Princess Peach gets kidnapped yet again. But the story goes way deeper, with genuinely funny writing and memorable characters. The turn-based combat uses timed button presses to boost your attacks and reduce damage, making every battle feel interactive instead of just menu selecting. You've got badges that customize Mario's abilities, letting you build toward defensive tanking, offensive power, or status effect strategies. Your partners aren't just damage dealers. They have unique field abilities, like Koops, who can hit switches, or Bobbery, who blows up cracked walls, making exploration puzzle-focused and rewarding. The chapter-based structure takes you to wildly different locations, from wrestling rings to mystery trains to pirate islands. Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D Remake packages the 2 games that started the entire JRPG genre with a gorgeous visual overhaul that makes them feel fresh for modern audiences. The first game is a solo adventure where you're the descendant of the legendary hero Erdrick, exploring a compact world, leveling up, gathering better equipment, and ultimately facing the Dragon Lord. It's simple by today's standards, but there's something pure about the experience. Just you against the world, with turn-based battles and dungeon crawling. Dragon Quest II expands everything by giving you a party of 3 characters, a much larger world to explore, and more complex dungeons with puzzles and navigation challenges. The HD 2D treatment transforms these NES classics with beautiful lighting, particle effects, and a mix of 2D sprites on 3D environments that looks incredible. The stories are straightforward hero's journey tales, but they nail the fundamentals of exploration, progression, and that satisfying loop of fighting monsters to get stronger. Dragon Quest XI's is the definitive version of one of the best traditional JRPGs ever made, and it's absolutely massive. You play as the Luminary, a young man who discovers he's the reincarnation of an ancient hero, but the world sees you as a threat, and you're forced to go on the run with a growing party of companions. The turn-based combat lets you move characters around the battlefield for positioning, and the PEP power system creates special combo attacks when characters get fired up during battle. Each party member has a skill tree where you invest points to unlock new abilities, stat boosts, and even weapon specializations. The world is huge and gorgeous, whether you're playing in HD mode or the classic 2D mode that transforms everything into 16-bit style graphics. The story takes some genuinely surprising turns, especially in the second half, where everything you think you know gets flipped. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is an absolute beast of a game that combines real-time combat with deep RPG systems and one of the most emotionally powerful stories in the series. You're controlling Noah and Mio, soldiers from opposing nations, in a world where people are born from pods, fight for 10 years, then die in a ritual called Homecoming. The combat happens in real time as you move around the battlefield, but you're managing auto attacks, positioning for bonus damage, timing arts, which are special abilities, using talent arts, and building up to chain attacks where you string together massive damage combos. The class system is incredibly deep. Characters can learn any class and mix-match arts from different roles to create custom builds. Your party of 6 can interlink in pairs to form giant Ouroboros forms with unique movesets and devastating power.
The open-world zones are absolutely enormous, with landmarks to discover, secret areas to explore.
Henceforth, all orders are rescinded.
Persona
Eliminate
5
all
Royal
avoid.
is not just the best JRPG on Switch. It's one of the best games ever made, period. You're a high school student who gains the power to enter the metaverse, a world formed by humanity's distorted desires, where you and your friends become the phantom thieves, who steal the hearts of corrupt adults to make them confess their crimes. The social sim aspect has you managing your time between school, part-time jobs, building relationships with confidants, and increasing your social stats through activities. Every relationship you build unlocks gameplay benefits and new abilities for both combat and daily life. The turn-based combat uses a press-turn system where hitting enemy weaknesses earns you extra actions, and you're collecting and fusing personas, basically Pokémon, but they're mythological figures and demons to build the perfect team for any situation. Palaces are these elaborate themed dungeons, like castles, pyramids, and casinos, where you're platforming, solving puzzles, and sneaking around.
Go down!
That's the top 15. From tactical battles to action-packed hunts, from classic turn-based adventures to genre-bending experiments, the Switch has become an incredible platform for JRPG fans. Which one's your favorite? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more gaming content. Thanks for watching.